It was raining hard when she showed up at our door, drenched, shaking, and clutching a small suitcase. "Dorothy," she said softly, "I just need a place to stay for a few days." Her voice trembled, and her eyes carried a story she didn't tell. I felt something uneasy stir in my gut, but I pushed it aside. Michael, my husband, stepped behind me, towel in hand. "Let her in," he said. That night, as thunder echoed, I made up the guest room. She thanked me, eyes glistening. But when I passed by later, her door was open, and she was in Michael's shirt. "It's warmer," she smiled. My throat went dry. Michael laughed awkwardly. She didn't pack much. When I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. Something about the way she looked at him. Too familiar. Too bold. I whispered to myself, "It's just for a few days." But deep down, I knew this woman didn't come here by chance. The next morning, I woke up to laughter in the kitchen. Her laughter. And Michael's voice. I froze in the hallway. Her laughter floated out like perfume. Light, teasing. "You make great coffee," she said. "Not everyone knows the right ratio." Michael chuckled. "Guess I've had practice." My chest tightened. I walked in with a smile that felt fake. "Morning," I said. She turned, already wearing one of my aprons. "Oh, I hope you don't mind. I made breakfast for everyone." My own kitchen, my apron, my husband leaning against the counter, grinning like a teenager. When she turned away, I caught a flicker. The way she looked at him wasn't friendly, it was possessive. I tried to steady my voice. "What's your name again?" "Clara," she said. "Clara Morgan." Later, when Michael left for work, I washed the dishes, hands trembling. I didn't know why I was so shaken. She was just a guest. But when I picked up her cup, I noticed faint lipstick stains. Not the color she wore last night. And when I opened the trash bin, my stomach dropped. 2 empty beer bottles. Michael hadn't touched alcohol in months. Michael had battled addiction for years. When we married, he promised never to go back. I believed him. Until now. That night, I found him in the study, his hands trembling, eyes too bright. "You okay?" I asked gently. He looked startled. Yeah, just tired." I noticed the half-empty glass beside his laptop. "You're drinking again." His voice rose. "It's just one glass, Dorothy. I'm writing better." When I loosen up, Clara's words echoed from breakfast. "Not everyone knows the right ratio." I swallowed hard. "Did she give that to you?" He froze. "What are you implying?" Tears burned my eyes. "You promised me, Michael." He turned away. "You never understood how hard it is." I whispered, "I understood enough to stand by you." But when I left the room, I heard Clara's voice through the wall. Low, intimate. "Don't let her make you feel guilty. You're brilliant when you're free." My heart cracked. In less than 48 hours, she'd found his weakness, and she was feeding it. I tried to stay calm. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe Clara was just kind, or lonely. But that night, she sat too close to him on the couch, their laughter spilling over a movie I'd picked. When I excused myself, she turned to me. "You're lucky, Dorothy. Most wives don't trust their husbands enough to host a stranger." Her smile was small, sharp, a warning in disguise. "I trust him," I said firmly. She tilted her head. "Good. Because temptation always tests trust." I didn't sleep that night. I heard soft footsteps around 2 a.m. I crept to the hallway and froze. Clara was outside our bedroom door, listening. When I flicked on the light, she smiled faintly. "Sorry," she whispered. "I thought I heard something." But her eyes said something else. She wasn't sorry. She was studying us. The next morning, Michael was gone before I woke up, his side of the bed cold, and on the kitchen counter, a note in Clara's handwriting. He needed fresh air. Don't worry, I'm with him. When they returned hours later, they were laughing. Inside jokes, shared glances, my stomach twisted. Where did you go? I asked. Just a drive, Michael said casually. She showed me a spot she likes by the lake. Clara smiled. He's such a deep thinker. You must be proud. That night, I searched her things while she showered, guilt gnawing at me. Inside her suitcase, I found a small pouch of white powder, tucked inside a medicine bottle. My hands shook. Was she dealing? Was she using him? Before I could think, she stepped out in a towel, eyes narrowing. Looking for something, Dorothy. I froze. I was folding your clothes, she smirked. Careful. Curiosity ruins trust. Later, I tried to warn Michael. He snapped. You're jealous, Dorothy. She's been helping me write again. You should be thankful. That was the first night he didn't come to bed. And the first night I realized the woman in my house wasn't a guest. She was a threat. The next morning, Michael barely looked at me. His eyes were glassy, distracted. Don't start, Dorothy, he muttered. When I tried to talk, he went straight to the study and locked the door. Through the wood, I heard Clara's laugh. My pulse quickened. She was in there with him. Hours later, I pushed the door open, papers scattered everywhere, the air thick with smoke and alcohol. What's going on? I asked. Clara looked up calmly. He's working, Dorothy. Don't interrupt his process. Michael didn't even glance at me. She's helping me focus. Something inside me snapped. With what? Drugs? Flattery? Clara's smile didn't fade. You're angry because you can't inspire him anymore. My hand shook as I pointed at the powder on the desk. That's poison. Michael slammed his fist down. Enough! Get out, Dorothy. The sound echoed. I stared at him, my husband, my partner, and realized he wasn't seeing me. He was under her spell. When I left the room, I saw her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her lips curved in a secret smile. That was the first time I truly hated her. The next few days blurred together. Michael avoided me. Clara floated around like she owned the place, humming while she cooked, borrowing my perfume, leaving her clothes draped across the couch. One night, as I passed their laughter-filled study, I heard my name. She's jealous, Clara whispered. She doesn't want you to shine. Michael's voice cracked. She's been patient with me. She's controlling you, Clara pressed. Real love doesn't cage genius. I pressed my hand to my mouth to stop a sob. I wanted to storm in, to scream, but something told me not to. She was building her web, and I was the spider's next meal if I moved too soon. Later that night, when I checked my phone, I saw a message from an unknown number. Check your husband's email. My fingers trembled as I opened his inbox. Photos. Of them. Laughing, hugging by the lake, one of her hand on his cheek. I felt my knees go weak. But the message wasn't from a stranger. The sender name appeared after I scrolled. Clara. I confronted her the next morning. You sent those pictures. Clara smiled over her coffee. Proof of honesty, Dorothy. I thought you'd appreciate transparency. You're trying to destroy my marriage. She tilted her head. No, I'm setting him free. You're the one clinging to a dying dream. My voice shook. Who are you? Really? Her eyes darkened. Just someone who knows what it feels like to be ignored. Michael walked in halfway through, rubbing his temples. What's happening? She's accusing me of something again, Clara said sweetly. Michael sighed. Dorothy, please stop. I felt my throat tighten. You can't see what she's doing to you. He walked past me and kissed Clara's forehead before leaving. My heart shattered. She leaned close, her breath against my ear. You can't fight what's already begun. When she left the room, I gripped the table, trying not to break down. My phone buzzed again. A new message. She's not who she says she is. Search Clara Morgan, criminal record. My heart pounded as I typed her name. Dozens of results popped up. Fraud, identity theft, a history of manipulating wealthy men. One article showed her photo, years younger, a different last name, Clara Reeves. She'd vanished after a scandal involving a man found unconscious from overdose. I stared at the screen, chills crawling up my spine. She was repeating the same pattern, with Michael. That evening, I printed everything and waited for him to come home. When he did, I placed the papers in front of him. "She's not who you think she is," I said, voice trembling. He glanced at them, then shoved them aside. "This is obsession, Dorothy. She's a criminal." He stood, shaking. "You've lost your mind." Clara entered, acting startled. "What's going on?" "She's lying," Michael snapped. She placed a gentle hand on his arm. "Maybe I should leave." My heart leapt with hope, until he said, "No. Stay." She smiled faintly, eyes meeting mine with quiet triumph. And that night, she locked our study door. From inside, I heard laughter turn into silence. The days after that felt like living in someone else's nightmare. Michael barely spoke to me. His hands shook constantly. I found syringes hidden under his desk, and my heart sank. One evening, I heard a crash, ran into the study, and found Michael on the floor, pale, sweating. "Michael!" I screamed, shaking him. Clara stood frozen in the corner, eyes wide. "He just collapsed," she whispered. But there was a small vial near her foot. I grabbed it, my hands trembling. "What did you give him?" Her tone hardened. "Nothing he didn't ask for." I called an ambulance, my heart racing. As they carried him out, she whispered, "He'll blame you for this, not me." And when I saw the look in her eyes, calm, almost satisfied, I realized this wasn't about love or jealousy anymore. This was about control. As the ambulance pulled away, I vowed silently, if Michael lives, I'll expose her. But when I returned home that night, I found something waiting on my pillow. A photo of me asleep, taken from the doorway, and a note beneath it. "Stay out of my way." Michael survived, but barely. I sat by his bedside, clutching his cold hand as machines beeped around us. The doctor said it was a drug relapse. "He's lucky you found him in time," he added. Lucky. That word made me sick. Clara had nearly killed him. When he finally opened his eyes, his voice was faint. "Dorothy, what happened?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You overdosed, Michael." "Do you remember who gave it to you?" He frowned weakly. "No, I think I mixed it myself." Clara's lie had already rooted in his mind. She'd made him believe it was his fault. When I returned home to grab some of his things, I found the living room spotless. Every trace of her gone. For a moment, I thought she'd disappeared. Then I noticed a note on the counter. "You saved him this time, but you can't watch him forever." The handwriting was neat, confident. I felt my knees weaken. She wasn't done, she was watching, and she wanted me to know. 2 days later, I came home from the hospital to find the front door slightly open. My heart pounded as I stepped inside. She was sitting on my couch, calm, legs crossed, like she'd never left. "Clara," I whispered, fear rising. "What are you doing here?" She smiled. "Checking on you." "You look tired." "Get out," I snapped. She stood, her tone suddenly cold. "You think you can make me leave? After everything I did for him?" "He needed me. Dorothy, you poisoned him." Her eyes narrowed. "I made him brilliant again." "You turned him dull." I took a step back. "I know who you are, Clara Reeves." That name froze her. "You've been digging," she said quietly. Maybe the police would like to dig too. Her expression shifted from shock to amusement. Do that, and I'll show them what's really in his system. Your fingerprints are on everything you touched that night. My breath caught. You wouldn't— Oh, I already did, she whispered. And then she walked out, leaving me shaking. I knew she was bluffing, or at least, I prayed she was. Still, fear clawed at me. If she had planted anything, Michael could lose everything. I needed proof. That night, I went through her old suitcase again, desperate for something. A clue, a contact, anything. Hidden inside the lining, I found a small USB drive. My pulse raced as I plugged it into my laptop. Videos, dozens of them. Different men, different homes, all taken secretly. Some unconscious, others arguing, crying, and in every video, Clara, smiling, manipulating. My stomach turned. She'd been doing this for years. I copied everything to my phone, then called a friend from college, Patrick, now a detective. I need your help, I said, voice shaking. When I explained, he was silent for a moment. Dorothy, stay somewhere safe tonight. We'll look into her background officially. But before I could pack a bag, a text popped up. Unknown. Number. Nice find. Let's see if your friend can save you too. She knew. The next day, I went to the hospital again. Michael looked weaker, but calmer. When I held his hand, he whispered, Clara came to see me. My heart stopped. What? She said you're blaming her for my mistakes. I felt the blood drain from my face. Michael, she's lying. She showed me pictures, Dorothy, of you going through her things. Why would you do that? My throat tightened. Because she's dangerous. She has a record. He turned away. I don't know what to believe anymore. Tears stung my eyes. Believe me, I've been the one fighting for you. But he said nothing. When I walked out of that room, something inside me hardened. I'd tried to reason, to protect. Now I needed to win. That night I called Patrick again. I'm done waiting. She's still out there. He sighed. We traced her aliases. You were right. There's a warrant from another state, but we need her caught in the act to arrest her here. I looked toward the window where shadows flickered. I can make that happen, I whispered. I returned home and left the lights off, pretending to pack. My plan was risky, but it was the only way. I placed the printed evidence on the table where she'd see it. Then I waited in the dark. Hours passed, midnight. Then a soft creak. I held my breath. Clara's silhouette appeared in the hallway. She moved gracefully, confident, her phone light scanning the papers. You shouldn't have done this, Dorothy, she whispered to herself. I stepped out, my voice steady. Looking for something? She froze, then smiled. You really think this will end with the police? You'll lose him anyway. Maybe. But at least you'll lose your freedom. Her eyes gleamed. He'll never forgive you for this. Before I could respond, she lunged, grabbing the papers, knocking a lamp over. I screamed, Now! Patrick and 2 officers rushed in from outside, guns drawn. Clara's expression twisted as they cuffed her. You don't know what you've done, she hissed. But I did. I'd taken my home back. The sirens faded into the night as they drove Clara away. I stood frozen in the doorway, shaking. Patrick placed a hand on my shoulder. She'll be booked tonight. You did good, Dorothy. I nodded numbly, staring at the broken lamp on the floor. My house felt quiet. Too quiet. The next morning, I went to the hospital to tell Michael. He was sitting up, pale but alert. They arrested her, I said softly. His eyes widened. What? Why? She was dangerous, Michael. I have proof. Recordings, evidence of her drugging you, manipulating you. He frowned, rubbing his forehead. She said you were obsessed. My heart broke all over again. You still don't believe me? He didn't answer. When I left his room, I saw Clara's smirk in my mind, that haunting confidence. She'd planted doubt so deep, he couldn't see past it. But I wasn't giving up. That night, Patrick called. She's talking, Dorothy, but not confessing. She claims you framed her. My grip tightened on the phone. Then I'll find proof that shuts her up for good. Because until I did, she'd still have power over him. Patrick got me access to the evidence room the next day. Clara's belongings had been logged. Her phone, wallet, a small notebook. When I opened the notebook, my hands trembled. It was filled with names. Men's names, dates, and short notes. Weak spot, guilt. Addict, wife suspicious, and at the bottom of the last page, Michael Harding. Perfect candidate, wife emotionally attached. Creative blockage equals access point. I nearly dropped the book. She had targeted him, planned it all. I took photos of every page and sent them to Patrick. This is it. She's finished, he replied moments later. Good work, but stay alert. Her lawyer's fighting hard. She might make bail. My stomach twisted. That evening I sat beside Michael again, showing him the evidence on my phone. He stared at the screen in silence. She wrote about me, he whispered. She studied you, Michael. She used your pain. His eyes welled with shame. God, what have I done? I reached for his hand. You were hurt. She found your weakness. He looked up slowly. Then let's end this together. 2 days later, Patrick called again. His tone was grim. She made bail, Dorothy. I felt my stomach drop. What? How? Private lawyer. Someone wired money fast. She's out. But under surveillance, I hung up, heart racing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house felt like footsteps. Michael came home from rehab the next morning. We tried to eat breakfast together, awkward silence filling the air. Then the phone rang. I picked up, expecting Patrick. But a woman's voice whispered, "You can't cage what you can't control." The line went dead. I looked at Michael. He'd gone pale. Was that her? He asked. I nodded slowly. That evening, Patrick arrived with an update. We think she's staying near town. But she's slippery. Be careful. Michael clenched his fists. She won't stop until she destroys us. I met his eyes. Then we stay ahead of her. We didn't know that night would be the beginning of her last move. And her most dangerous one yet. It happened 2 nights later. Michael and I were asleep when the smoke alarm blared. I shot up, coughing. Michael! Flames licked the curtains in the living room. Panic surged through me. We ran for the extinguisher, but the fire spread fast. When we finally escaped to the yard, I saw a shadow near the trees. Tall, still, watching, Clara. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Patrick's car screeched into the driveway as the firemen arrived. She set it, I gasped, pointing toward the woods. They searched, but she was gone. Hours later, when the flames were out, Patrick found a matchbox near the window. Inside it was a folded photo of me and Michael on our wedding day, burnt around the edges. I stared at it, shaking. She's escalating, Patrick said. This isn't manipulation anymore. It's revenge. Michael wrapped his arms around me, voice trembling. I'll never let her near you again. For the first time in weeks, I felt his warmth. And his fear. But Clara wasn't just after us anymore. She wanted to destroy everything we built. The next morning, we stayed at a hotel. I barely slept, jumping at every sound. Michael sat beside me, staring at the wall. I should have listened to you, he whispered. Tears burned my eyes. You were sick, Michael. She used that. He nodded. I want to help end this. Whatever it takes. Patrick met us at the hotel later that day. She's vanished, he said. We found a car she rented. Abandoned near the lake. Same spot from those photos. My heart skipped. She's circling back. He sighed. We're putting surveillance there tonight. That evening, Michael and I drove past the lake, the sky darkening. I saw a glint by the water, something metal. I stepped closer. It was a bracelet, Clara's bracelet. Attached to it was a note sealed in plastic. It read, "You took my freedom. I'll take yours next." I froze, my hands trembling. Michael grabbed me, his voice low. "We're not running anymore, Dorothy. We end this." And as we stood by that dark lake, I realized the final showdown wasn't far. Clara was still watching. Patrick stationed 2 officers near the lake that night. He advised us to stay away, but my instincts wouldn't let me. Something in Clara's note felt unfinished, like a riddle waiting to unfold. By midnight, I was pacing the hotel room. Michael sat by the window, restless. "You're thinking what I'm thinking," he said quietly. "She's not going to the lake," I whispered. "She's leading them there." Michael's eyes met mine. Realization dawning. Then where is she really headed? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Home feels empty. Without me, doesn't it?" My blood ran cold. "Michael?" "She's at the house." We jumped into the car. Patrick answered my frantic call halfway there. "Stay put, Dorothy." Wait for backup, but I couldn't. The thought of her in our home again, our space, was unbearable. As we neared the driveway, headlights from behind us flared. A car sped past and swerved into our gate. Clara stepped out, her face twisted with rage. "Welcome home," she hissed. Clara moved fast. She held something shiny in her hand, a kitchen knife from our drawer. "Don't move," Patrick's voice echoed as his car skidded to a stop behind ours. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. Clara laughed, eyes wild. "He loved me, Dorothy. You just couldn't handle it." I stepped forward slowly, heart hammering. "He was sick, Clara. You used him." Her eyes flickered, then darkened. "I fixed him. I made him create again. You just smothered him with your pity." Michael stepped beside me. "You didn't fix me," he said firmly. "You broke me." For a split second, her face cracked. Fury and heartbreak colliding. Then she lunged. Patrick tackled her before she reached me. The knife clattered to the ground and officers pinned her down as she screamed. I stood frozen, watching the woman who nearly tore my life apart, finally subdued. Michael wrapped his arms around me from behind, whispering, "It's over." But deep down, I knew it wasn't over yet. Not until I faced her and heard the truth from her mouth. 2 days later, Patrick called me to the station. "She wants to talk to you," he said carefully. "No pressure." I hesitated, then nodded. When I walked into the interrogation room, Clara looked different. Hollow, restrained, her wrists cuffed to the table. "You came," she said softly, almost smiling. "I need to know why," I replied. She tilted her head. "Because you had everything I didn't. Love, a home, someone who'd fight for you. I wanted to see if I could take it." "You almost did," I whispered. She leaned forward, "But you fought back. That's why I hate you." Patrick stepped in then. We traced her record. Multiple aliases, past charges for fraud and manipulation. She's not who she claimed to be. Clara smirked faintly. "Guess I picked the wrong husband this time." They led her out, and for the first time in months, I felt my chest lighten. It was over. Or so I thought. Until the next morning, when a news alert flashed on my phone. Suspect Clara Jones linked to 3 other cases under investigation. The world finally saw who she really was. Weeks passed. Our house was repaired, though the faint burn marks near the window never fully faded, a reminder of everything we'd survived. Michael started therapy, this time with full honesty. I attended some sessions with him, and for the first time in years we spoke without defensiveness or fear. I forgot who we were, he admitted one day, his voice cracking. And I let someone else remind me of everything I hated about myself. I took his hand gently. You came back. That's what matters, he smiled, a real smile this time. And you never stopped fighting for me. Sometimes at night, I'd still wake up, thinking I heard footsteps. But then Michael's arm would tighten around me, grounding me back to peace. Patrick visited once, handing me a small envelope. Case closed, he said. She's facing a long list of charges. Attempted murder tops it. I nodded, tears brimming. Thank you for believing me when no one else did. He smiled. You did all the hard parts, Dorothy. And maybe, finally, I believed that too. Months later, spring sunlight filled our living room. The house smelled of coffee and new paint. Michael sat at his desk, writing again. Not from addiction or guilt, but from healing. He looked up as I entered. You know, he said softly, I used to think pain was my muse. Now I realize peace is. I smiled, resting a hand on his shoulder. Then let's build more of it. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Patrick holding a file. Final report, he said. Clara's been sentenced. 15 years, no parole. I let out a slow breath. Justice, I whispered. He nodded. Enclosure. That night, as I sat on the porch watching the stars, Michael joined me, slipping his hand into mine. We made it, he murmured. I leaned on his shoulder. We did. And she can't touch us anymore. For the first time since that stranger knocked on my door asking for a place to stay, I finally felt safe again. Home wasn't just walls and windows, it was us. Scarred, stronger, and whole.